I have, in my younger years, I've painted my nails before. When I lived in LA for about 6 months, I went through a phase of painting my nails, and I don't regret that for 1 second. It wouldn't be acceptable in my current situation or geolocation right now, but I'm super glad that I experienced what having painted nails felt like. It was actually really cool as a guy. I wouldn't recommend it for everybody, but having like a splash of color on your fingers is kind of just a cool concept. And to me, it actually made me feel like I had something glowing on my hands every day. And it was cool. Like every time I would move my hands, like these waves of color would kind of be in my peripherals. It was a really cool concept. I don't know how others perceived it, in all honesty, but like to me, I felt like I was creatively expressing myself via my nails. It was like, I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to experience that. I wouldn't do it again right now, but that was a phase that I went through. I went through a long hair phase where I had super long hair, probably down to my chin. Like I could pull it up and like it was very, very long, which was great. I love experimenting with my hair, as you can see. I think your hair is a very easy way to express yourself because it's convenient. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to do anything. You just freaking style it different, let it grow out, cut it short, all that. I went through a phase where I had like a mustache and a little bit of a goatee, and I like put on some weight and I looked like a totally different person. I was like a chunky guy with a freaking mustache. Very interesting phase. I enjoyed that phase. And I was treated differently, and I treated myself differently during that phase. And this is kind of all encompassing of how your visual appearance can affect the way that you and others perceive yourself. I went through a baggy clothes phase where I would like wear very baggy clothes just to see how that felt. I had freaking earrings at one point. Mind you, they were fake, but I had earrings at one point that I would wear like every single day just to test it out, like to see how that visual appearance interacted with my inner self and the external world. I went through a phase of drawing tattoos on my body with Sharpie just to see how I would perceive myself with tattoos and how others would perceive myself with tattoos. Just to kind of get a gauge on what that felt like to maneuver this body with a certain visual appearance. That's exactly what I'm doing with this blonde hair. I wanted to see how the world interacts with Ty Farriga with blonde hair and a short buzz cut, because it is different. It absolutely is different. Like the cashiers at the grocery store perceive me different. The mailman perceives me different. The way that I interact with my neighbors, they perceive me a little bit different. And I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm still in that judgment mode. But in order to get into that judgment mode and in order to learn, I have to do it, right? Welcome back. It is day 24 of posting to YouTube every single day until, drumroll please, I just stop. As you may or may not have noticed, there's something different about my head. And it is the fact that I bleached my hair. I don't know if you could tell, but I no longer have dark brown hair, and I also no longer have long hair. This is like a drastic change for me. And I want to make this video about that. Visual changes in appearance and how it could be beneficial and why I felt the need to do what I did with my appearance. Well, one, for starters, I think drastically changing your appearance or even minimally changing your appearance can signify internally to yourself that external change is happening. I think that's the main catalyst for why I felt the desire to bleach my hair. Just given my circumstances have been changing, I feel like I'm in a new chapter of my life, just quit my job, and I'm kind of embarking on a new journey. And I wanted my visual appearance to reflect that, but more so, I wanted to shed the appearance that I had while in that other portion of my life. Not that there was anything wrong with that portion of my life, because there wasn't. That's not even close to what I'm trying to say. It's just that I wanted to shed the skin of the person that I was. And doing something visually with your appearance can help facilitate that on the internal and external side. People out there will certainly treat me different, as well as I will treat myself different. And that's kind of what I want. So I want to break that down. I want to get into that because I think it's like, this is something that I've always done. I've always tried to have my inner self reflected externally. I'm not sure how privy you are to that concept of deeply expressing your internal self externally. I think I'm kind of conditioned to do so because I'm an artist and I'm used to that concept of expressing what's in here and tangibilizing it and putting it into the real world. So doing something with my visuals or my persona or the way that I posture or conduct myself isn't foreign concept to me. Maybe it is for you if you aren't an artist. I'm actually not sure. But I want to tell you that I've had a great experience, only positives, with outward expression. But the caveat to all of this, which I'll get into, is you have to, if you want to fit in this life, which I'm pretty sure you do, I do. Nobody likes to be the odd person out. Nobody likes to be the last person picked. Nobody likes to be the oddball for the most part. Maybe, yes, there are some people that do enjoy that space, but I think majority of people, we're social creatures and we like to be socially accepted. So the caveat to all of this self-expression kind of thing is, in order to stand out, you have to first fit in. If you want to stand out and still be respected and highly regarded, you have to fit into the societal norm first. And you have to garner a certain degree of respect before you can embark on an expressive journey that strays from the norm. If you bypass the period in which you show that you can fit in, and you go straight to being weird or super expressive or super out there, that's just exactly how people will perceive you. They will just perceive you as the weird person doing his or her own thing, and they won't necessarily treat you as a member of their social group or community. And I think this is actually really important, and I think I've navigated this quite well. In all of my social circles, I have, I think, garnered a degree of respect that has allowed me to express myself in a creative way. And this is all under the guise of respecting my social standards. There are ways in which you could take it too far with self-expression. And what I mean by take it too far is you become outcast, or you become the weird person, right? I don't thrive in that space. I can't live in that space. So I've had to traverse cautiously around not taking my expression too far. And I think I've done a good job about that. I typically have not been an outcast in any of my social circles. I fit in super hard in the beginning stages of my social reputation building. I fit in, I become exactly like everybody else to a certain degree. And I become homogenous with the group. And I show that I have the capacity to fit in and be comfortable and be respected. And then after I've done all of the maneuvering, after I've done all of the respect maneuvering, then I feel like I'm at liberty to start to go down the path of more self-expression. And I think that's a concept that a lot of people don't have a firm grasp on. A lot of people just want to freely express themselves from the get-go. Sure, you can do that. You can absolutely do that. And I'm not telling you what to do at all. I'm just saying from my experience, I truly believe that in majority of social circles, if your end goal is to be self-expressive and to follow and to fluently translate what's inside of you to the outside, that's great. But you have to cage that for a little bit. You have to show that you have a certain degree of restraint and respect before you step outside the box. You have to be inside the box to step outside the box. If you just step outside the box from the get-go, that's when problems arise and you become outcast and the weird person. It's kind of simple, in all honesty. And I hope I explained that kind of properly, because that's truly how I feel. I always make it a point to fit in super hard, become one of the bros, become one of the guys that is super there. He's just in the mesh and all of that. And then I branch out and I get the respect for it. I get the respect for it because I've earned the right to do that. And it's interesting when you put it that way, but I do think you have to earn the right to express yourself. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. It's just it's a biological ancestral thing, right? I have to signal to my fellow community members that I can be one of them, that I can be trusted, that I can be loyal, that I can be dependable, that I can be normal and responsible. Once I do that, then I can do whatever I want, as long as I've established that first part first. And I think that's reasonable. I think that's absolutely reasonable. I think that's what being respected as a creative is. It is first showing up with a degree of respect and restraint, and is showing to the world that you have a grounded grasp on your reality. And then you can, what great artists do, and what I hope to do, is you take that pre-existing respect that people have of you, that you are grounded, and you manipulate it, and you essentially add on top of that respect that has been given to you. This is interesting. I think an artist's work hits the hardest when you understand that that person is grounded in the same reality that you exist in. And then they take it to the next level. They take your reality to the next level. That's an interesting concept, and I might not want to elaborate on that fully in this video. But all right, that was an interesting rant, and I'm pretty happy with that. I think this new phase of my life, this new appearance that I'm kind of beholden to, is an art plus business aesthetic. I'm really trying to embrace the artistic side of my life that I feel like I suppressed for the last 2 years. It was a conscious suppression, and I didn't feel bad about it. I was just in a situation that necessitated that I suppress the artistic expression side of my life and enhance the business expression side of my life. And that's okay. I really appreciate that, because typically, I didn't really forecast that in my life. I didn't forecast being in a business situation where I would have to express myself business-like, but I'm so glad that I did. And that's reflected in this attire, right? I'm very comfortable wearing this. And I think this, kind of like a collared shirt coupled with a tight blonde buzz cut, is kind of the aesthetic that I'm going for, where it's really put together, really well-kept, nice-fitting clothing. But there are certain style elements that reveal that I am innerly artistic. And I want to kind of move that, that's what I want to do. I want to move that forward through time and express myself with my two sides marrying up nicely together. And that's what I believe. I believe I have two sides. I have the business, entrepreneurial side of my life, and I have the artistic, creative side of my life. And I'm excited to now be in a stage of my life where I can combine the two, as opposed to just working on one or the other. Because I think they're super important to have in conjunction with each other if you want to be successful. Or if I want to be successful, at least. That is of necessity for me to pursue a harmony of business and art. And I'm going to attempt to reflect that in my visual appearance. And I'm really excited about this, because this is kind of the art side down. Now I just got to work on the wardrobe, and we'll see. I don't know. This is kind of how you build your style. You just have to be open to change, be open to experimenting. But again, within reason and respect. You have to respect the social boundaries you have to be conscious of the social boundaries that do exist around you, whether you like it or not. There are social constructs that dictate to a degree when you can do and when you can't do certain things. And you just have to be cognizant of that. You might not like that, but that's just the reality of life. And, frame how you perceive things. I've said this in a couple of my past videos. Frame how you look at things. You can look at the social constraints as a bad thing, or you can look at it to your advantage. You can play the game just as long as you need to play the game. And then once you unlock the capacity to express yourself, you can reap the benefits of what playing that game did for you. That's how I feel. Whenever I've expressed myself visually, there's always a degree of confidence that comes with it, because I know that I played the prior game properly. I know that I put in the work to be able to express myself. I know that I put in the work to be able to have this blonde hair buzz cut. I put in the work. I put in the respect. I've garnered your trust. I've garnered your empathy, and I can look you in the eye and you see the same tie that you saw with brown hair. I haven't lost any integrity by being self-expressive. And I think some people can get lost in that. They lose a degree of integrity because they kind of just jump too early into the expressive mode, and they bypass societal norms, and people start to outcast them, and then they get all self-conscious, and then they kind of go down this rabbit hole of being an outcast. And to each their own. If you want to do that, absolutely good on you. Go for it. That's not how I've decided to live my life, and I think there's value in the way that I have done it. That's why I'm sharing it with you. All right, that's it for this video. I really appreciate you watching, and thank you for sharing. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.